Adams.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise to take a call on this third reading debate on the Electoral Referendum Bill, and I just want to start off by really responding to, I guess, what some of the member who's just resumed her seat has said about this. And I think it's only fair to say that there are a number of people in New Zealand, quite a number of people, who don't like MMP and who did think they were getting another referendum. Now, the fact that those people don't share the views of the Labour Party doesn't make them somehow part of a nasty political conspiracy. In fact, I was at a forum the other day on this matter, and I was talking to one of the lead campaigners for the campaign for MMP, and she was telling the group assembled how her and her mother had had a very interesting debate around this very point, and her mother was staunchly pro first past the post and always thought there should have been a second referendum, and of course she took the opposite view, and in the great tradition of never discussing sex, religion or politics, I think things got fairly heated. But I think to stand here in this House and try and suggest that there's some sort of nasty, hidden political conspiracy because there are people in New Zealand who don't agree with Labour is misleading. There are a lot of people who wanted a second referendum on MMP. There are a vast number of people who always thought there was going to be a second referendum on MMP. This government has always committed to giving the country that referendum. I'm not going to stand here and argue about which system is better. The whole purpose of this bill is for New Zealanders to make that decision. Our purpose in putting this bill before the House, and the purpose of the Select Committee and its work on it, was to make sure that that process was as fair, as balanced, and as engaging as it possibly could be. And in that respect, I think this Parliament will have done an excellent job when it very shortly passes this bill into law. I want to touch on one other aspect of that, sir, and that is the issue of the campaign spending limits, which I did mention also in the debate on the Electoral Finance Bill. It is important that there is some controls, I believe, on the ability of parties to wade into this debate. It is important that there are limits and there's proportionality between the amount being spent in the public education campaign to ensure New Zealanders are brought up to speed and the amount of third parties. Finally, can I just touch on this? When we have this debate as a country around which electoral system we prefer, I think it's really important that the debate goes beyond simply what the voting system is, because the effect of the changes of some of these systems touches on matters like how many electorates we will have in this country. And a quick back-of-the-envelope calculation suggests to me that the options in this referendum have the potential to give us anything from 30 electorates nationwide through to 120, and a number of stages in between. Now, that alone is a really interesting debating point. How big should our electorates be? Should they be single-member electorates? Should they be multi-member electorates? How big is too big? How small is too small? So I think it is important that when the country starts to think about these issues, it isn't just a question of how you vote and how the seats are eventually divvied up. That is, of course, an important part of it. But to think through about what that means to our system of representation and to our roles in this place as a House of Representatives. Who do we represent, and are we able to do that properly? And certainly I have issues around if the electorates continue to get bigger and bigger geographically, then how well can we really represent those voices? So there's a number of aspects to this debate that I think are going to make a very interesting next 12 months or however long the period is over the teacups and over the roast turkeys. And I hope New Zealanders do engage in this debate and leave aside that silly maxim about not discussing religion, sex or politics, always being the best three topics of conversation in my view, and actually, start having these discussions. Ask the family over the Christmas table, what do they think? What will it mean? Get some of the stuff out there. You might be surprised how many in your own family have a different view. But if I can end with one plea, it would be that we respect that everyone will come to this with their own views, and we should discuss them on their merits rather than attacking those who are holding them for holding opposing views. And with those words, Mr Speaker, I commend the bill to the House.